Game number 2. After we're playing queues, not league. So after we waited a ton of time, we're playing game 2, and we have a great hand. Consulate Turret still looking kind of weak in the deck, but our curve is pretty legitimate. Skyship Plunderer represents flying beats, and Renegade Freighter that can be crewed by the Plunderer is great. So we have a solid 2, solid 3, and then turn 4 Chandra's Revolution to kill whatever their best creature is. So our curve out looks pretty spectacular with this hand, especially on the play. Yeah. Opponent took a while on that mulligan decision, but we'll just play our land and pass here. Skyship comes down next turn. Into the old Freighterino. I think this is definitely on the higher end of hands we could have. Runaway Train is just such a beating. Consulate Turret looks kind of weak here, but it is the weakest card in our deck. Maybe, putting that in was too much of a hedge towards wanting to get some kind of energy producer. I just wanted to make the 3 mana Thopter Maker a little better by getting 1 energy with the turret, crack in with Plunderer, get another energy. So I thought that would be sweet, but it does seem clunky. I don't think you want to start with that card. So Shock looking great here. Opponent has no plays, so we get to beat down. We definitely drop the Freighter over the Consulate Turret. We've been kind of smack-talking that card, so we're not playing it on turn 3. We have our Freighter, and we get to get in for 5 next turn. You cannot argue with that. So opponent's got Reckless Racer. Okay. So Reckless Racer is a pretty good card. It doesn't stop either of our attackers. Oh, and we drew Release the Gremlins. Not bad. Yeah, so we can hold up Shock, play Consulate Turret, or we can play Chandra's Revolution on this Racer. I think I'd rather blow up the Racer and just clear the path, get in for 5. And it's kind of early, so maybe tapping down their mountain actually matters. So if we falter them on their next play and they don't play anything, or they don't play anything good, these 2 hits with Renegade Freighter, it's 10 of their health. They're down to 8. So even though I don't think Reckless Racer is a card that is worth burning the premium removal spell, I think maybe the tempo that we get from it is enough. Good old Runaway Train getting those beats in. Alright. Okay, so we're not so lucky that they're stuck at 2, and not so lucky that they're stuck off of red. But maybe they still don't have a play? What's in your hand? Okay, they have a play, but it's a 2-mana 2/2. They didn't trigger Revolt. 2-mana 2/2 is not scary on turn 4, especially not facing down a Renegade Freighter. Crewing on up, get into combat. Renegade Freighter is such a good card. Such a good magic card. Yeah, always yield to Renegade Freighter. We'll take the value. I'm not going to fight you on that. I'm not going to respond to that. Let's just get down. Yeah, Sweatworks Brawler. Keep as much pressure up as we can. Let's see, opponent. You have all your mana back. The 2/2 can't really attack in unless they have a trick, and if they do, we're not blocking. So, wow. They just having none of it. Completely over the situation. You know what? That's fair. That is what Renegade Freighter does. Renegade Freighter legitimately puts that kind of pressure on you, where you just have to throw your hands up and go, how do I win? They're very fun cards. Renegade Freighter, and that I guess it was something Express from Ether Revolt. They're such powerful cards, but they end up warping what you can do. Do we want to board anything in? And I guess what I mean by that is they warp certain game states that sometimes devolves into who gets the runaway train first. Yeah, I'm not going to make any changes. We're just going to run it on back. Okay, plans for the opponent. We have another good aggressive hand. And look, we even found a missing piece of our curve. Not that Merchant's Dockhand is an exceptional card, but it is something that improvises us into our Thopter. We do Dockhand into Well-Draw Automaton, then turn 3 we drop Maverick Thopterist, which is sort of the dream. Yeah, I think that's still the plan. Getting down to turn 3 Thopterist is pretty legit, so we're not trading if they offer the trade. We're just trying to get our big drop down early. And then we can, play the Plunderer and start beating in the air. So, yep, they're gonna attack. And we're gonna take it down to 18. Then they're gonna play a Frontline Rebel. So they are the beatdown. Here comes Maverick Thopterist. You have to love the discount here on Maverick Thopterist. The improvised mechanic is so much fun. There we go. 4 power, 2 of it's in the air for effective 3 mana. And then they've got a jam with the Frontline Rebel. I think there's not a problem in the world with trading off the 2/2 bodies here, because the 2 Thopters is really what you're paying for. You're not paying for the 2/2. The 2/2 here just traded with their 2/2, which I think is an acceptable thing for it to do, right? Now we get to drop 2 spells in a turn and start beating back in. This is shaping up pretty nicely for us, unless things drastically change with this this 3/3 must attack Frontline Rebel here. I guess lead on the Glintnest Crane in case we draw 2 that we want to play. Maybe we'll play Prophetic Prism over Skyship Plunderer, but not likely. I think we want to get our beaters in. They don't really have a blocker because Frontline Rebel is never going to block. Oh, and we just draw the best artifact in our deck. That's perfectly acceptable. That's a thing that we can do. Alright, let's plunder. I adore Skyship Plunderer. And I think it's going to make its way into Standard with all these pirate synergies coming up in Ixalan. So, yeah, so we can double block here and kill it, but we play into a trick. It's just not the best thing to do. Prophetic Prism off the top is just fine. This lets us use all of our mana, all 5 mana for the turn. Play the Prophetic Prism, then get the Freighter down. Or the Gear Smasher. Ooh, they have something. Decommission. Wow. You'd think they'd get rid of a flyer, but I guess they want to take 1 less damage, and they don't have Revolt, so they don't even gain life. So it's kind of an expensive way to kill one guy. So some more Plunderer triggers that don't matter. And now, let's see what we draw with the Prism. Oh wow, premium removal spell. So our draws are being extremely kind to us. There's probably a way that we just close out the game next turn with premium removal spell, and now Runaway Train representing 5 damage. Dawnfeather Eagle is good for our opponent because this is the one situation where they can use the Frontline Rebel as a blocker. And they're probably pretty happy to see that Dawnfeather to stop all of the flying beats, but we got lucky enough to have Chandra's Revolution, so the value train just keeps on rolling. Blow up the bird, crew up the freighter, swing in. Unfortunately, I think the most efficient way to crew up the freighter takes our 2/1 flyer out of the mix, but we still get in for quite a lot of damage. And it doesn't matter at this point in the game, really, but we hold down one of their planes. But yeah, I think I still like this over tapping Merchant and Glint-Nest Crane, but that is the line that gives us more damage, so slightly more damage, of course, but it's an interesting decision, certainly. Yeah, they really can't afford to block, I don't imagine, but they can't afford not to block. Yeah, so we put them safely down to 1, and now they've really got to deal with our board in some miraculous way. And even then, Gear Smasher threatens to clean up. So, yeah, I think 2 very powerful draws from our deck. We saw Renegade Freighter both games, and we were able to out-aggro our opponent's aggro deck. So, good stuff. Renegade Freighter, absolute freaking all-star of a card. Looks like we're going to the finals. I'll see you there.